What's going on, everybody? Todd here. Today we're going to install the Retrax IX on this 2019 and up body style Chevy Silverado. Now this is the same install for the GMC Sierra. For this installation I'll be using a 6mm Allen wrench, a 5/64 Allen wrench, a T25 Torx bit with extension and ratchet, and a tape measure. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the canister from the box and set it up on top of the rails and over top of the bulkhead. Make sure that our flap seal lips over top of the bulkhead, the bulb seal faces back towards the tailgate. Also, you want to make sure that this is centered side to side evenly in the bed of the truck, and make sure it's pushed all the way up against the bulkhead. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and assemble our rails. I'm showing you the passenger side rail. We're going to do the exact same thing with the driver's side rail. The way you can identify passenger side versus the driver's side is this is your opening that the cover rides back and forth in, and it kind of slants down to the outside of the truck. On the back end, the tailgate end of the passenger side cover, you're going to have a hole up on the top. If this was on the opposite side of the rail, that would be the driver's side rail. You'd want to flip that around and put it on the driver's side. But this is passenger side, so what we're going to do is go ahead and flip that upside down, and you're going to notice a channel going through the bottom of the rail. Now, with our hardware, what we're going to do is identify 6 nylock nuts. Now, those nylock nuts are going to need to slide into that channel. Okay, now just to show you the orientation of the nylock nuts, you'll notice you've got the nylock end of it on one side and then no nylock on the other side. That's the side you want to be looking at as you slide it into the channel. So go ahead and slide all 6 nylocks with nylock side down into that channel. Next, what we're going to do is take our end cap, go ahead and flip that upside down, and that's going to line up to our rail. Now, these are side specific, so it only goes on the correct side. This is the passenger side end cap. So what we're going to do is slide it in place. Then we're going to line this final nylock right here up to the end cap, and then take one of our short Allen head bolts, line it up there, get that started, and take the included Allen wrench, and then snug that down. You don't want to over tighten that. All you're doing is getting it to about 5 foot-pounds. Next, what we're going to do is take one of our latch stops. Now, the latch stops face to the inside of the vehicle. This I've got this upside down, so it kind of throws everything off, but this is where the cover rides back and forth inside, so that latch stop needs to face that direction. What we're going to do is line up the latch stop to the next nylock nut, take our next bolt, and all we're going to do is we're just going to get that started into the nut, because we still want to be able to slide it back and forth and adjust that. So we're just going to get it started and set it in place. We're going to leave that one all the way back here for right now. Next, we're going to take our clamp assembly. Now, the clamp assembly is going to open up to be able to clamp to the inside of the bed cap. So what we're going to do is loosen up the bolt that holds that together. And I'm just going to go ahead for right now and bring this bolt all the way to where it's flush with the inside of the clamp. Pull that apart. We've also got an adjustment nylon screw that is going to go into that clamp assembly. And we use the same provided Allen wrench to get that in there. And again, all I'm going to do for right now is get it to where it's nice and flush to the inside of that clamp. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to face the clamp downwards and find our next nylock nut. We're going to take our long Allen head bolt, slide it through, line it up to the nylock nut, and then again just get it started. We're not going to tighten it down. Just get it where it's lined up and inside that nut so we can slide it back and forth. Next, we're going to go ahead and do another latch stop just like we did the first one. All right, next we're going to do another clamp just like we did the first clamp. And finally, we're going to do our last latch stop. Once we're all done with that, we're also going to find a very small set screw and a small Allen wrench. What we're going to do is flip that rail back over, go back up to the top, and you'll notice the hole in the end cap lines up to the hole in the rail. What we're going to do is take that small set screw with the small Allen wrench and put that in place and go ahead and snug that down. All right, and repeat the same for the driver's side rail. All right, now we're going to go ahead and bring the rail up to the canister. Now this is the channel that we put those nylock nuts down into. What we're going to do is line it up to this part of the canister. It kind of sticks out. This hole on the rail is going to line up to this hole on the canister when it slides in. And this part of the rail is going to slide underneath this lip of the canister rail. Let's go ahead and slide that in. You'll also notice that the cover will start to move into the rail. Once we've got it all lined up, we've also got an included screw that's a Torx head screw. They also give you an included Torx bit. We've got a T25 that we're going to use. It's the same size. So we're going to go ahead and start putting that in and tighten it down. It's going to give you a little bit more resistance in the very beginning, and it'll be easier and then give you more resistance again as you're tightening it down all the way. Just get it nice and snug. Do not over tighten it. All right, now we're going to go ahead and move our front latch stop up towards the canister. Make sure it's about 1/16 of an inch away from this bolt head, and we're going to go ahead and tighten it down using the supplied Allen wrench. All right, next with the tailgate closed, we're going to go ahead and set the alignment of the cover front to back. In your kit, you're going to have a white plastic spacer. That's going to go right up against your tailgate, and then this portion of the rail is going to slide back until it hits that spacer. So go ahead and grab that. Make sure you do that on both sides. Next, what we're going to do is go ahead and slide the rear latch stop all the way to the back where it rests against our end cap, and go ahead and tighten that down with the supplied Allen wrench. Now just get that snugged up. We don't want to get past 5 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, let me go ahead and show you how to set the rear clamp in place. First of all, you want to reach back behind the bed cap and find a location that doesn't have any obstructions. Here's a spot right here. Now, on the Chevy, it's important to understand we've got part of the bed cap that is flush with the metal flange, and then that metal flange kind of spaces apart and leaves a little bit of a gap between the bed cap and the flange. What we're going to do, we've got some supplied shims that come in the kit. We're going to take and we're going to slide a shim in between the space in the bed cap and the flange to make sure that space is taken up. Next, when you want to go ahead and rotate the clamp around, so you might want to rotate this back side of the clamp half down, or we can rotate it around and then rotate it back up. We're going to get it where we want it, where there's no obstructions. Pull the clamp all the way up to the rail, and then go ahead and tighten that down using the supplied Allen wrench. Again, we're only bringing this to 5 foot-pounds. All right, now once you've done this on both sides, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to adjust the rail side to side. Okay, next what we're going to do is take a tape measure and measure the distance between the rails right up at the canister. And we're going to take that distance and put that in between our clamps at the tailgate end. Now we want to make sure that's the exact same distance side to side. We also want to make sure that these are centered in the bed of the truck. So the distance in between the rail and the bed cap on this side needs to be the exact same as the distance between the rail and the bed cap on this side. Then we can go ahead and set the clamps. Okay, now that we've got the distance between the clamp and the bed cap the same on both sides and everything is centered, we're going to go ahead and turn our set screw until it pushes against the bed cap. But don't turn it too far. We do not want to push that clamp away from the bed cap. We want to maintain that gap. Next, what we can do is go ahead and tighten down the bottom side of the clamp. What that's going to do is bring this portion in. Make sure that this goes down into the clamp and recesses inside the clamp and not sit on the outside edge. Again, once we tighten this down, we're only going to snug it up to 5 foot-pounds. Repeat the same on the opposite side. All right, so the front clamp is going to install very similar to the back, to the rear clamp. Again, make sure there's no obstructions back behind the bed cap. We want to get that front clamp as close to our front latch stop as possible. Next, again, we're going to put our shim between the bed cap cover and the metal flange on the bed cap, and then slide that forward into place. Next, go ahead and lift up on the clamp. Tighten the clamp to the rail. Then adjust our set screw to our bed cap. And then tighten down the rear side of the clamp. Again, we're only bringing this to 5 foot-pounds, and repeat the same process on the opposite side. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and adjust our center latching position. This is going to be the location where the cover is latched in place if you drive with the cover partially open. This can be adjusted anywhere along the rail between the two clamps. Once you set that position, make sure it's set the exact same distance from the tailgate on the opposite side. So just go ahead and lock that down with our supplied Allen wrench. Repeat the same on the opposite side. Okay, now to install your drain tube, you want to make sure this goes outside the bed of the truck. So what I'm doing here, since we have a bed rug, I'm going to fit this end of the drain tube between the bed rug and the bed of the truck. That way it won't come into the bed, and it will just go out the weep holes that are there from the factory. Next, this portion of it just goes right up to the bottom of the canister and snaps into place. Now, one thing to point out, I've already removed the plastic covering off of the canister. You want to make sure you do that before you install the drain tube. And repeat the same process on the opposite side. Okay, now the bulkhead seal, the rubber flap that comes across where it goes over top of your bed cap, that needs to be trimmed in place. So we're going to do this on both sides. Go ahead with I'm using a utility knife here. Just going to cut that in place and tuck that down. Repeat the same on the opposite side. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts or visit us online.